She was house-sitting for her best friend of 9 years. The laptop was open on the kitchen counter. She hadn't touched it. But a folder was open on the screen. And the name of it was his. 312 screenshots. His face in every single one. Saved. Organized. Dated back 6 years. She closed the laptop. Exactly the way she'd found it. Then she finished watering the plants, fed the cat, locked the front door, and said absolutely nothing. 4 months later, she stood up at her own wedding reception and said 5 words. The room didn't know what to do with them. Priya did. Elena and Priya had been best friends since their first week at the same company. 9 years ago. 2 desks apart. They'd complained about the same meetings, covered for each other when the other was late, celebrated every promotion together. Elena was the first person Priya called when her mother was sick. Priya was the first person Elena called when anything, good or hard, happened in her life. When Elena met Caleb 3 years in, Priya was the first to know. She was the one who talked Elena through the early anxiety of a new relationship, the uncertainty, the vulnerability, the fear of trusting someone fully. She said he was the one before Elena had even said it to herself. She knew the restaurant Caleb chose for the proposal before Elena did. She'd helped him plan it. At the engagement party, Priya gave the toast. She talked about what kind of person Elena was, her loyalty, her capacity to love, the way she showed up for people even when she had nothing left. She said Elena deserved every good thing she was getting. She cried during the toast. Elena cried too. For 9 years, Elena had told Priya everything. Her fears about the relationship. Her private doubts. The moments she'd almost walked away and the reasons she hadn't. She'd handed it over freely. That's what you do when someone is your best friend. There was one thing Elena hadn't told anyone. Not yet. Caleb never said anything directly. But Elena had noticed, in small, easy-to-ignore moments, the way he went a little quiet when Priya walked in, the way he found reasons to leave early when it was just the 3 of them. She'd asked him once, early in the relationship. He'd said he was just less social with her friends. She accepted that. She told herself it meant nothing. There was the time she mentioned to Priya that she and Caleb had a disagreement about where to spend the holidays. Priya had asked more questions than the situation seemed to need. What did he say, exactly? What did Elena think he really meant? What had she said back? She'd been curious in a way that didn't quite fit the shape of concern. She told herself it meant nothing. There was a vacation, 4 of them, plus Priya's date. Elena and Caleb had a small argument the second night. Nothing serious. They'd gone to bed cool. The next morning, Elena came downstairs to find Priya already at the kitchen table. Caleb was across from her, both hands wrapped around a mug. There were 2 empty coffee cups in the sink, they'd been there a while. A third cup, still full, sat at the head of the table. Priya had her chin in her hand, leaning in the way people do when a conversation has been going for some time. She was laughing at something when Elena's foot hit the bottom step. The laughing stopped. Caleb sat back. Priya reached for her mug. Neither of them said good morning first. Elena did. They weren't doing anything. There was nothing to point to. Just the stopped laughter, and the third cup of coffee no one had mentioned making. She told herself it meant nothing. There was the engagement party toast. Priya had mentioned Elena's doubts in the beginning. Elena didn't remember telling Priya about those doubts specifically. She definitely hadn't told anyone else. She told herself it meant nothing. 4 months before the wedding, Elena was house-sitting. Priya had asked her to watch the cat for a long weekend. Elena had done it before. She had a key. She knew where everything was. It was ordinary. The laptop was on the kitchen counter, open. Elena wasn't trying to look at it. She was walking past to fill a glass of water. But the screen was on. And she saw the folder name before she could look away. Him. She stood there. She told herself it was something else. She looked away. Then she looked back. She opened it. 312 screenshots. Every single one was from Elena's Instagram, couple photos, tag posts, pictures going back 6 years. Not just saved. Organized. Oldest at the bottom. Newest at the top. There was a notes document. Also titled him. It had 47 entries. Some of the entries were observations. Things Priya had noticed about Caleb, his habits, his humor, the things he cared about. Others were things Elena had told her. Private things. Vulnerable things. Her fears about the relationship, her doubts, a moment she'd almost ended it and the reason she hadn't. There was an entry that read, "I don't know how much longer I can do this." There was a draft text message. It was addressed to Caleb's number. It had never been sent. Elena read it once. It started with his name. The last line, the one she could tell had been rewritten, was not something a friend writes to another friend's fiancé. Then she closed the laptop. Exactly the way she'd found it. She finished watering the plants, fed the cat, locked the front door, drove home. She sat in her car outside her own apartment for 22 minutes. She had 6 weeks until the wedding. And she already knew exactly what she was going to do. Elena didn't pull back. She didn't confront Priya. She showed up to every bridesmaid event, every fitting, every coffee. She smiled. She sent voice notes. She let Priya believe nothing had changed. But something had. Elena was paying attention now in a different way. She ran a test. She told Priya a small detail, something Caleb had apparently said about his sister. A minor complaint. Specific enough to be repeatable. Untrue. She told no one else. 11 days later, Caleb's sister called, confused. She'd heard something and wanted to know if there was an issue. There wasn't. There was only one person who could have passed that along. Elena wrote it down. Then she wrote down everything else she could remember. 7 specific instances. She went back through everything she had. There was a birthday dinner in March 2 years prior. Elena had told Priya, and only Priya, that Caleb was considering a job change. He mentioned it to Caleb a week later as something she'd heard. There was the July weekend when Elena had confided a specific worry about his family. Word for word, it had come back to her through someone else within the month. There was the information she'd passed on through the test. 3 confirmations. 4 more she could reconstruct from memory, the texts, and the timeline. 7 total. Priya had also positioned herself, physically, conversationally, between Elena and Caleb at 7 different events over the previous 2 years. Elena had a log now. She had dates, she had the texts, she had the pattern. 3 weeks before the wedding, Elena made a quiet phone call. Priya had been expecting to be named godmother designate at the rehearsal dinner. It was implied. It had been discussed, in the way close friends discuss things, obliquely, warmly, as an assumption. Elena quietly gave the role to someone else. She didn't tell Priya. She didn't say a word. The wedding planning continued. The dresses were fitted. The invitations had gone out. Everything looked exactly the same from the outside. The wedding happened. Priya stood at the altar in her bridesmaid dress. She smiled for every photograph. She danced. She hugged Elena's family. She was waiting for something. Elena knew exactly what she was waiting for. During the reception, Elena stood up to speak. It wasn't on the program, no one had expected her to give a speech. She thanked the guests, her family, Caleb's family. Then she thanked each bridesmaid, one, by name. With a specific memory for each. A real one. Her voice was warm. Controlled. Then she got to Priya. She paused, just one beat. And Priya, you've been consistent. Nothing else. She moved on. The room didn't know what to do with that. Priya's smile held for about 3 seconds. Something shifted in her face. She left the reception an hour and a half early. On the honeymoon, Elena told Caleb everything. The folder. The 312 screenshots. The notes document. The 47 entries. The draft text he'd never received. The test she'd run. The 11 days. The log. He was quiet for a long time. Then he said he felt it for years. He hadn't known how to bring it up without seeming like he was imagining something that wasn't there. They changed their numbers before the flight home. Priya sent 3 messages in the first week. Then went quiet. Within 2 months, 7 people had made their choice. They chose Elena. Priya had been removed from the group chat. Removed from the standing invitation to every gathering. Removed from event lists she hadn't even known existed. And there was one more thing she didn't find out until later, when someone who didn't know the whole story finally mentioned it at a gathering Priya hadn't been invited to. 3 weeks before the wedding, Elena had quietly given the role away. The role Priya had been expecting. The one she'd assumed was already hers. She found out at a christening she wasn't there for. Elena never confronted her. Never sent a message. Never explained the speech. Some people call it cold. Elena calls it documentation. She'd been keeping everything too. Priya spent 9 years watching. Elena spent 6 weeks writing it down. In the end, they both got exactly what they'd earned. If this story hit something you felt before, subscribe. We share stories like this every week. And if you've ever had a friend who wasn't really a friend, tell us in the comments. You are not alone.